I reached a point in life where I realized that not everything revolves around winning someone over or meeting society's expectations. For a long time, I tried to be that ideal man, responsible, loyal, present. But the truth is, none of that seems to matter when you don't have money. People say that the pursuit of life isn't just about money, that it can be about ideals or dreams. And I actually agree. But dreams don't pay bills, and ideals don't fill your stomach. The soul might be content with little, but the body needs money to survive. Nowadays, a man's worth is measured in numbers. How much he earns, what he owns, the size of his car, his apartment. If you don't have that, people don't even see you. You become invisible. And it's not just in relationships. It happens at work, in friendships, even within your own family. When you don't have money, your opinion holds less weight. Your presence feels like a burden. And you start asking yourself if you're the problem, when in reality, the problem is a world that measures worth by appearance and bank accounts. I was invisible. And when I tried to be seen, it felt like there was only one rule. Either you're poor and disposable, or you have money. And even if you're unfaithful, you'll still be accepted. I've heard it with my own ears. I'd rather be with a man who makes good money, even if he cheats, than with someone who's loyal but can't give me a comfortable life. That's when I understood. This game isn't for me. And that's okay. I'm not going to destroy myself trying to please a system that treats me as disposable, just because I don't meet the financial standards expected of a man. I've learned that constantly trying to be accepted is a slow form of dying. Little by little, you fade. You swallow frustration, shrink yourself, pretend to be someone you're not. And one day you wake up not even knowing who you are anymore. So, I left the game. Not because I lost, but because I chose to stop playing. I got tired of chasing approval. Tired of trying to prove my worth in a society where empathy comes after status. Today, I choose to focus on myself. On my well-being, on my mental health, on my personal goals. I went back to studying, started taking care of my body, started working for me, not to impress anyone. And the craziest part? In the silence of my own company, I finally discovered who I really am. I rediscovered passions I had abandoned. I found peace in simply sleeping well, without anxiety, without pretending. I began to enjoy my own presence again, something many people avoid, because facing yourself can be painful. I realized that love can be part of life, but it's not everything. We have family, friends, passions, hobbies, dreams. Love shouldn't be the center of everything, especially when it demands that you erase who you are just to fit in. I'm not saying I gave up on love. What I'm saying is, I stopped chasing it like it's some kind of prize. If someone wants to walk beside me someday, great. But let it be by mutual choice, not out of convenience. From now on, I am my priority. And if someone ever wants to walk this path with me, let it be because they truly see me, not because of my bank account, my car, or the image I pretend to sustain. I chose to live in a real way. And for me, that's already a victory.
嗨，大家好。
Hey guys, I'm Yang Xiaopeng. The other day I came across this news. It said there was a singles meetup in Hangzhou or somewhere around there, and apparently over 300 women showed up. But not a single man. Let that sink in. 300 women, 0 men. Now that got me thinking. We always hear these statistics, right? About how there are more men than women in China. Everyone's saying it. More men, fewer women, over and over. And we live under a monogamous system. One man, one woman. So, theoretically, if there are more men, shouldn't it be women who are having a hard time finding a partner? But then you see something like this. A dating event packed with women, and absolutely no men show up. Not one. So what's going on? See, data is one thing. Reality is another. Just because the numbers say something doesn't mean that's how life actually works. Here's the truth. A lot of men have already given up on marriage. It's not because they hate women or that they don't want companionship. It's because they've become self-aware. They've looked around, looked in the mirror, and realized, maybe this isn't for me. When you're not rich, not tall, not flashy, What exactly do you bring to the table in a world that constantly tells women they deserve the best? If you're not the best, you don't even get considered. Let me be real with you. A rich guy doesn't need a dating event. He's already got women lining up. A broke guy? He knows he's invisible the moment he walks in. So why waste time? Why show up to be ignored? Men have learned that in today's world, it's often better to stay in their lane. Focus on work, on hobbies, on peace of mind. They're not angry. They're just tired. Tired of unrealistic expectations. Tired of dating feeling like a job interview. Tired of being measured by income, height, or the kind of car they drive. And while many women still hold on to hope, dreaming of a high-quality man, a Prince Charming who checks all the boxes, men are quietly stepping away from the game. You can scroll through social media all day and see women posting things like, "I'm 30, but I still look 22," or, "I deserve someone successful, generous, and loyal." And maybe they do. I'm not saying they don't. But how many of them are also willing to look inward and ask themselves what they truly bring to a relationship beyond looks and age? A lot of guys aren't even bitter anymore. They're just numb. They've realized that the dating pool is more like a status competition now. And if you're not part of the top 10%, you're barely even considered. I know this sounds harsh, but think about it. How many women do you see proudly posting about getting divorced? Not sad, not hurt, proud, like it's a flex. "Look, I left him. I'm free." That's the kind of mindset that tells men, yeah, maybe this isn't worth it. And it's funny, right? Because finding a guy to date casually is easy. But finding someone who actually wants to marry you, who wants to build something long-term, that's a whole different story. Marriage isn't just about love anymore. It's about criteria, property, salary, lifestyle, social status. We're not talking about romance. We're talking about transactions. And when men realize they don't meet those requirements, or that even if they do, they're still not chosen, they just stop trying. They focus on themselves. Maybe they work overtime. Maybe they buy a dog. Maybe they start gaming more. They adapt to being alone because, well, what choice do they have? Meanwhile, some women who ignored decent guys in their 20s because they weren't good enough now come back in their 30s and 40s hoping for stability. But the game has changed. Those decent guys they overlooked, they're not waiting anymore. We keep talking about marriage like it's a fair system. It's not. And let's be honest. Our monogamous society? It's monogamous on paper. In reality, it's something else entirely. Side chicks, sugar relationships, emotional affairs. These aren't exceptions anymore. They're becoming the norm. Even when we pretend we believe in loyalty, the behavior we see says otherwise. And here's the sad part. You look at those 300 women sitting there at a dating event, dressed up, full of hope, and not one man even bothers to show up. Not because they hate women, but because they've stopped believing in the system. And that is tragic. Humans aren't meant to live alone. We crave connection. But when connection starts to feel impossible, we adapt to solitude. And when loneliness becomes normal, when you start to feel more comfortable alone than with another person, that's when something inside you changes. That's when hope quietly dies. I'm not saying this to be dramatic. I'm just calling it how I see it. So yeah, maybe we still have more men than women on the census. But when it comes to who's still showing up for love, for connection, for marriage, the numbers don't mean much anymore. Because it's not just about supply and demand. It's about disillusionment. And that's something no statistic can explain.
From the simping economy to the male economy, the era of Chinese men waking up has finally arrived. Recently, a dating game aimed at men called Game Over, I'm Surrounded by Beauties, has become a massive hit. The game developers are making a fortune. Many people might be shocked. Wasn't it commonly said that China's consumer market ranked from highest to lowest in spending power like this? Teenage girls, children, young women, the elderly, dogs, and finally men? So how did Chinese men suddenly become a target market, and one of such massive scale? What is the simping economy? It's when businesses and so-called fairy girls constantly manipulate men, convincing them that they must spend money to please women. They say things like, Men, even though you can't use makeup, handbags, or expensive jewelry, you still need to buy them for women. If you don't, you're not a real man. It's terrifying when you think about it. If a man doesn't please a woman, he's considered unqualified. When did this simping mindset quietly take root in Chinese men's way of thinking? Have you ever noticed a strange phenomenon in today's society? Most Chinese men have never lived for themselves. Since birth, no one teaches them how to love themselves. People only tell them, if you want a wife, you need a car, a house, and tens of thousands in dowry and gold. After marriage, you're expected not only to support your wife and kids, but also to take care of your parents. And on top of that, your boss will squeeze every bit of effort out of you with long work hours and empty promises. It feels like everyone around the man is constantly draining his labor value. No one ever asks if he loves himself, if he has any hobbies, or if he takes care of his inner world. For Chinese men, I can sum it up with one word: tired. Just how tired? China's male labor participation rate is as high as 80%, far surpassing American men at 65% and Indian men at 55%. Chinese men are indeed hardworking and earn a lot, but strangely, their spending is rarely reflected in the country's consumer market. Male consumption only accounts for less than 30% of total consumer spending in China. They save money, avoid luxuries, and live frugally just to give their families a better life. But at some point, this honesty and sense of responsibility turned into a negative thing. Honest guys are just backup plans, or after enough fun, I'll marry an honest guy. This has become a common idea among many women. Educated women wouldn't even look twice at an honest man. Businesses and fairy girls just treat honest men as ATMs. You've probably heard the word sincerity from them. No matter if the girl likes you or not, you're expected to give her perfume, bags, and flowers first. That's just the way it is. This manipulative mindset might have worked during times of economic growth, but with society and the economy changing drastically, Chinese men's views on spending are also evolving. Why waste money being a simp with no chance of being the main guy when you can spend that money on yourself instead? Game over. I'm surrounded by beauties becoming a bestseller is a very clear signal. The story is simple. You start broke and in debt, can't even pay your rent, but then 6 girls show up who like you unconditionally, support you unconditionally, and help you through your problems unconditionally. This kind of plot would never happen in real life, so players are calling it a sci-fi masterpiece. A common phrase going around is, "It's not that I can't afford real love, it's just that 37.80 yuan gives me way more value." And that hits home for a lot of male players. Why would this cheap and poorly made dating game cause men to spend money like crazy? Because it shows how difficult it is for Chinese men to get any kind of positive emotional feedback from women in real life. And this game fills that emotional gap for many men. On the surface, it's simple. Many Chinese men want love, but can't get it. If in real life, sweet girls were holding your hand at the mall, saying cute things, who would bother playing this game? But underneath it all, society originally worked like this. Men provided extra labor, and women took on reproductive responsibilities, creating value together. Then, the system would redistribute benefits evenly so that both men and women gained from it. But in this new era of equal rights, things have changed. Better transportation and technology made the system more tolerant and expanded the pool, so women gained gender benefits from society, but didn't carry out the traditional gender responsibilities. Men, on the other hand, still provided extra labor, but no longer gained reproductive rights from society. And so, the whole gender dynamic began to collapse. With this game going viral, a new market focused on pleasing men is likely to emerge. Making money is already tough these days. Many people are cutting back on spending. Courting a girl costs money. Being in a relationship means constantly buying gifts, going to movies and dinners. You can easily spend hundreds or even thousands and still get nothing in return. Now, for just 42 yuan, you can be surrounded by beautiful women in a game. Which tired man could say no? As for me, I bought the game too. But I didn't play it. I just wanted to let the capitalists know. The simping economy isn't the only way to make money. Pleasing men works too. After saying all this, what I really want to say is, centuries of cultural indoctrination have given Chinese men a strong sense of duty to family and society. But beliefs are not permanent. They can be changed. I truly hope that Chinese boys can finally break free from the pressure of public opinion and the coldness of society, escape the shackles of outdated thinking, and finally learn how to care for themselves and love themselves. Buy yourself some decent clothes. Play some games you genuinely enjoy. You don't need to be overly obedient. You don't need to give up. You don't need to doubt yourself. Even if you live an ordinary life, you can still hold your head high and be a man with dignity. You are not disposable. You are the ones who carry the light.
朋友们好，我是老鼠。
Today, I want to share an opinion that many women might not agree with. Some might even want to argue with me. But still, I want to say it out loud. And I hope you'll listen carefully and reflect. Is there not some truth in what I'm about to say? Here's my opinion. Chinese men today are facing the hardest time being men in the entire history of China, over thousands of years. How did we get to this point? And is this a good or bad thing? Maybe you're thinking, Lao Song, you're exaggerating, right? But let me give you some real-life examples. Listen, and decide for yourself if I'm wrong. First point. These days, what we hear most often are women complaining about Chinese men. That they lack ambition, lack capability, that they can't provide for a family. Isn't that what we hear all the time? But honestly, we can't completely blame women for this. After all, for thousands of years, traditional Chinese culture has expected men to be the providers. It was seen as normal. And yes, if a man can't even support his family, you could say he's failing one of the most basic responsibilities society places on him. But here's the thing. Why is it that today, so many men are being criticized for this, while in the past, most seem to manage? The answer is simple. The standards have changed. In the past, providing for the family meant putting food on the table, clothes on their backs, and a roof over their heads. That was enough. If a man did more, great. But if not, his wife would still understand. She would support him. Even during hard times, she might say, "It's okay, things will get better." But now providing is a moving target. There's no clear line anymore. What does it mean to provide? Just rice, meat, and shelter? Or does it now require a 100 square meter apartment? Or maybe 150? A car? But how expensive? And the wife's clothes, what brand do they have to be before you're considered a good husband? Suddenly, a man isn't just providing. He's constantly competing, constantly chasing, and constantly judged, even though he doesn't know exactly what the expectations are. Second point. Today's Chinese man no longer knows how to be a man. He's lost his position, lost even his authority at home. In the past, a father was a respected figure. When he spoke, the children listened. Now? We have to talk to our kids like they're customers. You can't raise your voice. You can't discipline. You have to negotiate with kindness and sensitivity. Otherwise, people say you're toxic. But when it comes to our own parents, the old expectations still apply. You must obey. You must be filial. No arguing. If you speak up, you're labeled ungrateful. Then there's your wife. With her, you have to make money, make her smile, be romantic, be patient. Fail at just one of those and you're a bad husband. Do you see what I mean? Men are being squeezed. Downward, they must be gentle with their kids. Upward, obedient to their parents. And in the middle, flawless with their wives. Make one mistake, and you're immediately judged. Third point. Yes, throughout history, marriage has always cost money. Even in ancient times, a man had to build a home, offer a dowry, and prepare everything for marriage. That was tradition. But back then, after marriage, the woman truly became part of the man's family. She was committed to the household. Today? Not the same. Now you pay the dowry by the apartment, invest everything. And after a while, if she's unhappy, she leaves. Just like that. No abuse, no betrayal. Sometimes just because you didn't make her smile enough. And it doesn't stop there. You often hear women say, "My daughter grew up in my house, but when she marries, she works hard for another family." But is that still true? Many married women today stay more connected to their own family than to their husbands. They visit their mom more often than they see their mother-in-law. And the husband? He ends up feeling like a guest in his own home. It's like the man gives everything, money, house, marriage, and still loses his place. Fourth point, let's talk about children. Biologically, yes, women carry the child. That's natural. But now, having children has become a bargaining chip. As if the child only belongs to the man, and not to both. Men don't have any say in this. If a man desperately wants a child, but the woman doesn't, that's it. There's no room for discussion. And honestly, if men could get pregnant, I believe this society would have more fathers choosing to have kids than mothers. Because right now it feels like this responsibility is being used as emotional leverage. And finally, I want to talk about something nobody seems to care about. The common man today is invisible. No one cares what he feels. No one cares about the pressure he's under, the weight he's carrying. No one asks if he's okay. If a man complains, people say he's playing the victim. If he talks about his stress, they say he's being dramatic. Only men with wealth or status get attention. Everyone else, the majority, is ignored. That's the reality. And that's why I say, Chinese men today are suffering more than any generation before. That's it for today. Thanks for listening. If you enjoy what Lao Song shares, don't forget to follow the channel, share the video, and see you next time.
这个世界上有个 bug，
There's a bug in this world. The harder you try, the more difficult it seems to move forward. As the old saying goes, wealth lies among the people, not necessarily through physical labor. What matters is the purpose behind the action, not just the act of toiling. Effort, in many ways, is a trap. Because when you truly love someone or something, it doesn't feel like effort. Do you need to try hard to love someone? Do you need to put in effort to breathe or sleep? These things happen naturally. They flow. And you don't feel tired because of them. But when there's too much effort, obsession begins to grow. That's why Laozi advocated for Wu Wei non-action. In truth, Wu Wei is the highest form of action. Acting without forcing might sound abstract. So let me give you an example. When you're focused on something you truly believe in, something you feel is the right thing to do, you'll notice you no longer care about looks, funny content, random gossip, or checking out people's social media stories. You just stop doing those things. You don't even think about them. Because your only purpose is that one thing. That becomes your greatest form of entertainment. You lose sleep, forget to eat, but you're full of energy. You get so immersed that next time you check the clock, it's already past midnight. Time never feels like enough. You become like a robot on autopilot, and that emotional sensitivity to the outside world disappears. In your life, only that thing exists. You pour your love, your passion, your energy into it. And in that moment, you begin to shine. Truly, you radiate charisma. You realize those people you once idolized. They're just people. You understand that nothing else matters as much as this. You stop caring about how others see you or what advice they give. And then that wisdom, that sense of control that once seemed so far out of reach, comes back to you. And I say comes back because it was already inside you. This is the state Laozi wanted to express. Act without force, and nothing will be left undone. This is the most fair and equal gift heaven has given each of us.
What makes you think men dominate society? Is it because most of the power is in the hands of men? Or because most of the money belongs to men? But those men actually represent only a tiny fraction, 1 in 10,000 of all men. In the real world, the overwhelming majority of men live under extremely tough conditions. In school, boys get worse grades than girls. And among underperforming students, most are boys too. In the family, men carry the burden of buying a home and providing for the household. When war breaks out, it's mostly men who die from birth to death. So where exactly is this so-called dominant position of men in society? We tend to take a small group of extremely successful men and use them as the symbol of the entire social structure. But in reality, society has never been dominated by men, it's been dominated by the strong. And the strong can be men, women, or even a dog or a cat. In ancient Chinese culture, men were seen as tools of production, primarily responsible for the duties of both family and society. As men's responsibilities increased, so did their social obligations, and with that, power and wealth became concentrated in male hands. In equivalent social positions, men held higher status than women. But with the arrival of modern society, both men and women became productive tools. That's when the pursuit of equality began a shift in power. In theory, men's family and social responsibilities should have decreased too. But out of pride, many men can't say this out loud. They're afraid of being ridiculed. Women, on the other hand, may not be willing to take on those responsibilities either. If you look at how society reacts to certain symmetrical situations, you'll notice men are often discriminated against. If a woman marries a rich and powerful man, society usually says she found herself a great future. But if a man marries a rich and powerful woman, what does society say? That he's living off of her, not that he found a good future. A woman can be completely obsessed with a male idol, and no one says a word. But if a man shows the same obsession for a female celebrity, copying her gestures, acting like a fan, he's probably getting dragged to the police station to learn a lesson. Men are not born men, they become men through society. Be a real man. Men don't cry. A man can't fail. And the same goes for women. They're not born women. Society shapes them. Stop playing with trucks. Go play with dolls. You're not a woman without makeup. Girls can't be leaders. In some ways, a biological man can be shaped to act like a social woman, and a biological woman can be molded to behave like a social man. In modern China, men never ruled society. Society is ruled by the strong. And the strong can be men, women, or even a dog or a cat. To sum it up, the people at the bottom of society and those at the top are practically two different species. But if you're just an average guy with no big prospects in life, here's something you can start doing now. Improve yourself by just 1%. There's a concept called the 1% rule. It says that if you get just 1% better each day, or even each month over time, you'll become a completely different person. This month, for example, I read one more page than usual. Next month, maybe I'll read 2. Then I'll start going to bed a bit earlier. Small steps but consistent ones. You don't need to change everything at once. But if you grow just 1% each month, by the end of the year you'll be 12% better. That might not sound like much, but for someone who was standing still, it's already a personal revolution. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter whether you were born a man or a woman. What matters is how you face the world, the choices you make, and what you decide to do every single day. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this dilemma in Chinese society, which actually applies to all men in today's world, both in the East and in the West. Drop your opinion in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe to the channel for more content like this, and I'll see you in the next video.